Hello, and welcome back to the Geek on My Sleeve channel. And this is Geek Out 99, One in the Gut, also known as Headshot, One in the Gut. The cover is a little misleading because Headshot's in like bold and up at top, so at first I thought that was the title, but it wasn't. By Matthew Sage, and narrated by Vicus Adam, which is a narrator we thoroughly enjoy. And just because life gets weird sometimes, if you haven't read the book yet, thank you for joining us anyway. Shameless plug, we do have a affiliate link to the book if you want to pick it up after the fact. Oh, yeah, I was sick and I was tired of wiping off all the boogers out of my mustache.
Yeah, wipe that
was-
shaft. Who's the kid? Looks so young, breaking out that baby face. So, yeah, good to see you, White Thatch. And before we forget, plug that intro. And gosh, we picked this book up, I wanted to say several months ago on one of Audible's many sales. Another shameless plug, affiliate link below. And I think you listened to it a little bit ago, maybe? Or this was the first time?
It was a while ago.
Yeah. This was my first time listening to it. And it was a lot of fun getting to listen to Vicus Adams again. We originally got to hear him in The Divine Dungeon. He started that series. Someone else finished it. And yeah, it was kind of like coming back home in the LitRPG realm. Yeah, a lot of fun. What was your take on it?
So it was unique for me in the lit RPG space because it didn't have your typical archetypes, ranger, fighter, mage, PvE, PvP style stuff, and takes place kind of as a apocalypse type game. And then another thing was it was very unique that as of book one, they're not technically trapped in the game. And it
Right.
also kind of plays like a battle royale, but it's spanned throughout a week versus a single instance, and the numbers are skewed. So that's I don't know. It's a new flavor, so that was exciting.
Yeah, for me, a lot of these lit RPGs, they have to pass the sniff test, right? Like whatever they're trying to present themselves to be, is it believable? Is it plausible? Um, and it was kind of a nice change of pace to get to see the actual real world for a little bit. We start off with the main character, and You pretty much have the pay to win model, who are the survivors, and then the free to play model, who get to be the zombies, right? And everything is stacked against the zombies. But it's, just like a lot of games, new cutting edge technology. Everybody wants a piece of the action. We're seeing even right now a lot more of the free to play model, and can definitely relate to the frustration of watching the pay to win people come in. And it basically goes in 1 week cycles where you have the zombie plague and the survivors have to quote unquote survive. And the free to play players, the zombies, once you're out, you're quote out for good. There's a handful of exceptions that we get to see, which I felt was fair. Um,
Mm, for the survivors, if you're out, you're out too.
well, yeah, with limited exceptions, right?
Yeah,
Spoilers ahead, but towards the end there, when our main character Ryan ranks up, he's able to bring back his tank ally, right?
true, true.
So, and this company, they pretty much, in order to play, you have to like sign everything away, right? Like all your privacy, they go and they scan your actual house and your brain or whatever to where everything is real. So
And that was one of the love-hate relationships with this book. It kind of plays it off as more traditional VR, but then the way it's acting, it's more like Nerve Gear or Fiverr Full Dive VR. But
it really doesn't
then
go too far into it, does it?
it doesn't, but that's where the ending of the book leaves me to believe that our main guy is going to become trapped in the
Right,
world for
right,
several reasons. But yeah.
yeah. It's definitely interesting. I think Ryan only logs out once. Is it Monday, the first day he logs out to go to the real
There's a
world
couple
where he
times
pulls the
he
water trick? Well, I guess he logs out
he
on
logs
Tuesday in
out the
order to call
first
in sick.
day to when he hides in the water,
Hmm.
and then and then he logs out the second day, Tuesday, to call in sick when he's doing the horde run.
The
Then
adorable as
there's a
Granny's like,
third
you go ahead,
instance.
if you're still in the game, I hope you give them hell, sort of a deal, right?
Yeah, yep.
I guess she's muttering under her breath. Um, yeah.
And then we have the third instance when the first time the servers come down and he actually goes to work on Wednesday. And
Uh,
then,
no, I don't think he. Well, he logs out later. I think it was on like a Friday to eat or something, right? I think he only logs out a handful of times because he stays in the game there for extended period. Oh yeah, the first time it goes down, but I thought he was
yeah,
trapped in
the
the
second
game
time it goes
that
down, he's
time.
still technically in it.
That's right. That's right. You're right. You're right. First time it goes down, he actually does log out, and then the second time is when he's in that like hibernation mode,
Yeah, yep.
and starts talking with Sasha, um, our later love interest. Talk about a Beauty and the Beast. We got a one-handed zombie and our redheaded engineer girlfriend with daddy issues.
Uh, I don't know. I guess I didn't take it as daddy issues. I took it as
Well,
he
not
can't
not
publicly go
stereotypical daddy
against
issues, but
the company, and she has insider knowledge of the company and is utilizing
hmm
exploits, which is why I feel our main guy's now trapped because of the way it ends. Kind of like the instance on Friday when he's getting the pizza and he's having a hard time logging out, and it's because there's something that's been implemented to prevent him or block him, some so to
right,
speak. And
right.
then um, he ends up going into the safe, which is supposed to save the survivors' items to the next time. Plus, I would
It's the
figure
only
he
way
would
they can carry
rank.
things over, right? Like it's supposed to reset every week, but the
Yeah,
survivors who are sinking all this money in, if you have a guild, you could put it in the guild bank safe,
Yep.
and that stuff will roll over for you. Um, so yeah,
And so between the stuff that Sasha put in place, him being in the guild vault, which is, not going to be cleared or rolled over,
right.
and the fact that the bricks, which is how we think they're doing a lot of the exploiting, are
Hmm.
now being reset because they're not in the guild vault and there's none of them remaining. I have a feeling our main guy's going to get stuck. Um,
Yeah, you actually did good and stopped right at the end of book one.
I did. I saw that the bundle for all three
Yes, if you
was
guys are
for
going to pick it
credit,
up,
but
they have a 3-for-1 on Audible that you can basically only use one credit and get all three books. So I did cheat and go ahead a little bit, but I will do my best not to do any spoilers.
yeah, I enjoy theory crafting a little too much.
Yeah, it did it well. At
Well, it was a lot of the things that I felt it wasn't explaining was on purpose, kind of
mm,
like the yeah, it didn't really go too much into the VR setup because of how they're doing the forward backward stuff with the data for data scraping your memories for
mhm.
how additional things are. And then another series, oh, I can't think of the name. I want to say Sky Realms. They have something similar happen where there's an attack against the database, and
Right.
instead of sending and receiving, it just starts receiving data from the people connected
Mm,
to it. So then they get ported into it.
right.
Um,
Yeah, the technology they didn't go too far into, but uh, yeah, it was a fun game mechanic. I was really curious, when I was getting started, and it's like, how is this really going to go? So you get like one life, reset every week. Um, just trying to figure all that out. But uh,
well, I'm
as it
not
progressed, go ahead.
I'm not a fan of the battle royale model, but I
Hmm.
know there are a lot of people who are a fan of it, and
Hmm.
games like that have done very well, so I wouldn't
No,
be
especially
super surprised.
recently.
And
Yeah.
so you get the reset, and maybe you went tank because it's a first option, and the next time you go runner, and there's different strategies and plans,
He
and
he kind of speculated a little bit about that though, right? Because we get to see more and more how like invasive the AI is with the individual players.
yeah,
Um, and I'm pretty sure towards the end of the book, um, oh, his specialization is called
schemer.
Schemer, thank you. And so he's kind of wondering, it's like, this is more my play style. It's like, did it always know that this was going to be my
Yeah,
play
cherry
style
picking
and
ideas
start
from them.
catering to it? And the way that like the skills get rewarded and everything's kind of cool. Um, and yeah, it was really interesting how it played out. And we got a handful of combat, right? Like, did it satisfy your combat itch?
Combat was a little more on the lax side just because there weren't as many abilities, but
Hmm.
it made up for it with the allure of not really knowing. So just how it did well painting a picture of how are we going to get out of this now and what's really going to happen here.
Hmm.
Our very first like actual deadly encounter, we get the howl, and then the game's changed. And our second big encounter, they end up going up to the roof, and we luck out because another zombie took them out. And then we get more and more archetypes, that we're hearing about and seeing. Um, oh man, I'm sorry, but I really enjoyed killing the ex girlfriend.
Yeah. How long did it take you to figure out that she was a survivor instead of a zombie? Like I definitely figured it out before he did, but for me it was kind of like as we were on our way,
I
other things started to click into place and
As
everything.
soon as he talked about her sense of humor and her playing the pranks, it was,
This is how it's going down, right?
yep,
Yeah, because
fairly self-evident.
she didn't realize that like the
They
level
couldn't
one and
read
level
the
zero
signs,
zombies, yeah,
or
couldn't read the signs, couldn't do all this other stuff, and
her house was locked, and
yep, yep, because zombies can't operate doorknobs and all that other stuff. Um, yeah. Speaking of, like, I had a really good laugh out loud moment when oh like when it glitched out that first time and he kept learning how to operate a
oh
doorknob like
yeah,
three
you've learned
times.
doorknob.
And like by the end of the chapter he could operate doorknobs, push buttons, and like what was the other one? Like he pretty much learned how to do the
Or
burner.
well, he got doorknob, and then it was weird because it was like a repeat. He got knob for the gas, and then he
Yeah,
got button for the cigarette lighter.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's just like wow, zombies moving up in the world, you know, can now operate doorknobs and buttons. Oh, what a life. What
but
a life.
another funky thing
Um,
was he keeps losing his time. Like
mhm.
yeah, just between the hibernating and the stuff going down makes it very, I guess, questionable as to what all is going on.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, I got an AFK a moment. I'll keep listening, but if you want to keep on talking about your thoughts on the book and favorite moments, I'll be right back.
Alrighty. So yeah, by far the ending, it did well for a cliffhanger for me, in the fact that inside the guild vaults, the items are not supposed to be reset to give the survivors an advantage. And then with him doing so well, and being the highest ranking zombie in the first engagement, I'm geographically challenged. I can't remember where it took place, but yeah, I'm pretty sure he would have been up for a reward. So I'm curious to see between, oh, I think it's Sasha, what she has done to the character and the code because of him holding the brick, him being in a vault that's not supposed to be touched or reset because it's part of the Survivors Guild, and just everything else. Oh, and then him possibly being up for promotion, being a zombie, but possibly getting survivor status, as well as I don't really feel that he would want to go to the survivor status or survivor side of things. It is making things quite interesting. I'm curious if, so the current theory is that every week everything is going to reset. But we know from the beta that all of the abilities and a lot of other additional functions were not in the beta release. It was more testing, simplistic stuff. So, in theory, I would think kind of like Risk, where there's a capital or whatever, and at the end of the reset, whoever owned it last, that's where they, can build up their stuff or get advantage by being near it. Or if, for example, your normal spawn in the real world that you're coming up is controlled or was last captured by the survivors and you're coming in as a zombie, you can opt to spawn in a different location. I think that'd be kind of interesting just to reset, but not fully reset. Have it kind of be like a progressive map. Um, and then that also adds different elements to if the zombies can take over a location, making it hostile, for all of the guild vaults or whatnot. If the survivors are not able to take it back by the end of the week, if they would lose it or if they just don't get it until they take it back. So I don't know. There's a lot of opportunity for they didn't really say there's an understanding of it being reset, but as our main guy's going through the story, he keeps talking about, oh, well, what happens if the zombies win on a Friday? You know, is it over? Or what's the win condition? And in most games, there's a pretty, laid out, hey, here's your win condition, here's what you need to do to progress. There's, several um, wikis and builds and paths, and there's a lot more knowledge and there's a lot more direction out. So something like that could be very exciting for just resetting, but not fully resetting. Or, kind of how I can't remember the game. I think it might be D&D Online where they have a funky mechanic. Essentially, you level a character to a certain threshold and then you have an opportunity to reset. And when you reset, you get additional attributes based off of the class that you got to that level. For example, if you get a wizard up to 25, and I can't remember the exact metrics right now, and then you reset, your new character would get an additional, wisdom or intelligence stat. Should have some kind of requirement to meet to be allowed to spawn at a captured point. That makes sense because um, currently, the understanding is wherever you are in the real world is where you spawn in, or at least for week one here. And it talks about people literally moving to different locations because if you're like out in the boonies and there's no one around you, yeah, there won't be a lot of confrontation and you'll survive longer, but it's, about that XP grind. So, yeah, being able to spawn in a capture point, which, yeah, because currently we know of a couple kind of fast travel esque things that happen when there's a conflict, and if both of the leaders agree to upgrade it to a war zone, then people who are nearby can port in, which just makes it even bigger and to escalate. So I'm curious if more is going to come of that. And then, yeah, the uh, the zombie side of things, they have the horde mechanic where if the zombies are high enough level and there's enough of them, they can all move kind of as a unit. And I'm curious, it doesn't really fit for the survivors, but they have vehicles or, they can have enough of their brains remaining to use their appendages and drive vehicles. Um, and if they have some, I guess, group mechanic or some kind of promiscuity at the point to prevent enemies spawning in. Currently, for what they have, it's if you go from an engagement to a war zone and people spawn in, they go to kind of like a holding or a staging zone. So all of your reinforcements come and port to, like the center of the capital if you're defending or the outskirts. So they do have a funky mechanic like that as of now, but this is speculation for going forward. But yeah, there's definitely a lot more, and it's exciting where just we we found the schemer archetype, and it was a lot of fun following our main character, but there were several other interesting archetypes. Oh, I can't remember the name of it. I think it was like Mentalist or something, and how he was able to, excuse me, convert survivors into zombies and then manipulate them. He ended up kind of like, well, amalgamation or blob body into a carriage where essentially he had all of his zombies linking arms and being synchronized. So he's like riding a carriage of people, which was interesting to say the least. And yeah, I think it's something to do with the mental attribute, because then we also end up, our main character ends up inviting him, which the one thing I didn't care for, but was nice, is it doesn't fully flesh out or explain any of the abilities that you receive. It kind of did for the beginning ones, like Lunge. It's like, hey, it's got a cooldown, but it didn't for some of his other ones. So he's got to um, kind of, I guess mentally flex to try different things with it, like adding people into his retinue and um, figuring out how to, because once he got to a certain threshold with the schemer, he could no longer gain experience for himself, but it went into a pool and he had to mentally flex to be able to lock on to someone and to assign the XP to them. So they talk about the underlying AI and how you can utilize, or they're probably skimming the information or reading your intent and applying. Flesh carriage. Yep. Or the wheel of zombies must get dizzy. I don't know about a wheel. I need to go back through it. I figured it was more, oh, kind of like people standing, so the legs are on the bottom, but then they're holding other zombies kind of flat, or like, I don't know. I just remember taking multiple zombies amalgamation into a mount. Um, Carl may have remembered more. I was talking about unique archetypes and how we found the one guy who made a carriage out of zombies.
Yeah, I hope we get to see more of that, the different archetypes moving forward. Um, but I'm not sure if we will with everything that was revealed towards the end of the book. Um, but we did. We got to see a couple of the lower archetypes, like the tank and the runners, and then those kind of have their own like level ups or whatnot as they rank up. So,
But yeah, and that's where they didn't fully explain it, because due to him being a schemer and
hmm
donating the XP and doing more for them, is that the only way they can unlock more? Or would it have happened anyway? Because kind of like the special ops or the SWAT team that deals with the flitter guy, and how
hmm
he, they already have the sword poised to where he would appear from. So
yeah,
they already knew of the archetype before. Yeah.
yeah. I kind of wish we got to see more of the large scale game mechanics that we kind of got
That's
revealed towards the end.
that's what I
Because,
was talking about for if it plays kind of like Risk,
hmm
where in an example, yes, it will reset, but if it was last taken over by the zombies, or if it was, a stronghold of the survivors, it would make things different.
yeah, we saw some of those mechanics with the Beverly Hills bit, Again, I wish we
But
got a
that was just
scene.
escalating it to the war zone, and the
Hmm.
only, I guess, negative we saw or variation was the survivors could no longer communicate while in a hostile area. They had to go
Hmm.
to a neutral or contested area.
Right, right. Um, yeah, definitely a good lit RPG book for the Halloween season. That's for sure. I'm glad you recommended it. Our zombies versus survivors. Um, Kind of a unique take on the lit RPG genre. Um, how did it rank for you overall in the grand scheme of your lit RPG books? I know there's some near and dear to your
So
heart.
all overall, it's pretty low. I I enjoyed it. The components it's missing is a little more like I guess I'm used to a party where normally you have like a party of 5 or 6,
I was about to
and
say
you
you
have your
pretty much just follow
Hans
the
for
main character in this.
your comic relief, or I
Hmm.
enjoy a little more like stats. But this book did well in a different direction for emphasizing the technology and the AI and how it interprets things.
Right,
Um,
right.
I it's exciting if, in fact, he does get trapped in the game, because normally it's a hard one or it's a hard other, where, for example, the very first scene is him getting trapped in the new world due to the other
Hmm.
world's magic,
Hmm.
or like Ascend Online, where it's understood this is a VR MMORPG and they're essentially using nanobots to make sure that their muscles don't atrophy as
Right,
they're in a coma-like state and
right.
in the game, but it places a big emphasis on selling your stream and incorporating, as a revenue source. So it's different in that sense too. I the sprinkling of information is exciting for new zombie archetypes. Yeah, there are just a couple book elements that I was missing.
But part of it was also just because of the unique setup of the game,
I,
right?
I
They
that's
don't want
where
the in-game chat. Like there's no way to communicate with the other zombies, right? Minus the whole like thumbs up or whatever. Um,
so yeah, it did well because it fit inside the universe it created, as well as with
yes.
this being book one, it did a very good job of world building and creating and so on and so forth.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and it was realistic, first day game launches never go to plan.
Nope.
People think just because you're, Amazon and launching New World,
They've had
you
some
can't.
struggles. Yeah.
I,
Long queues.
yeah, I don't mean to say anything, but it's
Uh,
also it's pretty common. Like I remember WildStar doing the land party, and we couldn't even get in. It's just yeah, launches is always a heavier population. It's kind of like America is silly and why we don't do Black Friday like we used to do Black Friday, because we literally opened the doors and had people ran over and killed because they wanted that discount on whatever.
hey, you said battle royales were popular. Like I want to
Uh,
save that
that
$10 off my TV, okay?
that's
Don't
probably
get in
why
my
this
way.
book didn't rank as high also, because I'm not a huge fan of battle royales. It was
I'm with
different.
you. I miss the party components, um, but it does
Yeah,
well
they
for
kind of
the.
started coming through towards the end there, where we were upgrading the runners, and then we upgraded
Hmm.
the tank, and
Hmm.
we brought them with us, and
That was a cool mechanic. Like the AI zombies share XP, and once you hit that cap, you can share your XP to level it up. Like for me, like yeah, the survivors had a lot of advantages. I didn't feel like they were too game breaking, but I feel like that game mechanic for the zombies levels the playing field a bit, right? Like if you're able to survive long enough to where you can have your own horde of zombies, then you could realistically, or maybe not realistically, you have a shot, right? Compared to they have everything.
Or yeah, our main guy and everything, I can understand from his point of view, but at the same time, just the numbers games, like there's, yeah, a lot more. Because for the zombies, you had to just make sure your health points didn't get too low, because then you'd become ravenous and,
Right.
be locked into that mechanic. But for the survivors, we actually had someone who had to urinate, and so you probably got, food, water, sterilization, all this extra additional, like, actual apocalypse surviving prep
Right.
that you have to go through. And granted, the beginning is mass chaos, but yeah, we didn't get to see a whole lot of those elements,
Hmm.
which could very easily I so the cover was a little misleading for me
Just a
because it
little.
acted as if they were on the same side between the survivor and the zombie. In reality, that would have been nice, but her guild had different plans and it didn't work. It didn't quite work out like that. So,
That
yeah.
betrayal at the end.
I
Um, yeah.
it
Yeah.
was a betrayal, but it wasn't, because it's kind of like if you have an understanding between two people, but this person is part of a corporation and the
Hmm.
corporation says things differently.
Hmm. Yeah. One of the elements we got to see a little bit of it, but I was kind of curious to see more of it, especially since they did introduce the real world to us, is kind of like the bleed through of perspectives, right? Because for the game, they pretty much make a copy of the
Oh
world.
yeah,
Like where
it's
when you
it's the
log
world.
in, it's as if, oh my gosh, zombie apocalypse is here. Which side are you on? You either spawn in your room as a survivor, where you're able to open doorknobs by default, or you load up as a zombie where you can't read anything. You can't operate doorknobs, so they unlock the door for you. And ready, set, go. What's your zombie survival plan? Well, the reality is, just like in this game, 90% of the player base, if not more, are zombies, because everybody's like, oh yeah, I'm going to survive the zombie apocalypse. And you're just like, yeah, bro, like you're going to survive as an undead because there's no way you're making it. Um, but when the game world is that similar to the real world, coming from a gamer that has done several binges where you kind of have that overlap where you keep looking in the corner of your eye to try to check your the time, or your heads up display, or go to access stuff. One of my favorite memories is like a buddy of mine who was binging League of Legends was just, is it Blink or Flash Step? What's the League of Legends jump
It's
mechanic?
Flash.
Flash, yeah. Blink is World of Warcraft, where he's like, oh man, I'll just blink right over there. And it's like, wait, no, I can't do that. Um, but
Well,
when you're playing like a deep dive, it's not just staring at a computer monitor, right? Like it's straight up fed into your brain or whatever. And if everything around you, and you're like literally sleep deprived going in, and all that stuff, we got to see like a moment in the office where I think somebody got into a fight and like one guy bit the other guy. think it was, yeah, it
Or
was like the
he
second.
punched him in the face, but they all assumed it was a
Yeah,
bite because of the game.
yeah. Which is something that, I mean, even now in our current day and age, I think we'll get to the deep dive gear in our lifetime. But it's that constant battle with the medical community of, is this healthy? Is this not healthy? Mental health. You being a gamer, I've heard you advocate before that by you being able to unwind and, slay zombies in the evenings helps you from not slaying people and creating zombies in the real world. But at the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
time,
Well, and then the component of our main character just like loses time. Um, maybe it's just me, but that happens IRL all the time. It'll
yep,
be such a monotonous or boring task, or
yep,
driving a car, which I just go into autopilot anyway, and
mm-hmm,
just bloop, and now it's dark.
yep. Auto run feature, take over the wheel Jeeves, Guppy, et cetera, et cetera. I'm just going to chill in my head where it's much more interesting.
Yeah, and
So,
then like a lot of that technology has already come to pass. It's just not, for the general public. Elon Musk has done stuff into the Nerve gear, and I saw a video of a monkey playing Valorant and yeah, playing very well. And so it's the, I guess, triple whammy of monkeys learning how to play Valorant and doing it via mind. And yeah, it's
we'll get there. We'll get there. In the meantime, we have plenty of lit RPG books to fantasize about and have fun with. Um, one other thing that I'll give this book a lot of credit for is like I get frustrated with like main character immunity a lot, where like they always get bailed out or they come out unscathed. He ends up having to gnaw off his hand shortly after he interacts with Sasha or whatnot, right? And gets the brick in order to escape
or
the bus.
yeah. It's yeah. He when he comes back is danger sense, and then there's a large engagement after the horde gets to the city,
Mm-hmm.
and then him using the howl, which increases everybody else's stats but reduces his speed. And yep, the
Right,
bus flips over.
right. Um, yeah, it definitely was an interesting book. Not the same cookie cutter mold that we've gotten a lot in lit RPG. I don't feel like he was really that overpowered. In fact, being a zombie, he was at a major disadvantage at the beginning, and he kind of had to use his wits just to get through those first couple days, which his first goal was just to simply survive. Um, it was fun getting his perspective being a beta tester, just some of the different changes that they implemented. And after, he keeps turning down these upgrades, finally getting to the point where he unlocks an even better class for him. It was nice. Like he wasn't overpowered. He schemed and became one of the night and learned to be patient and then pounce on his prey.
I enjoy that mechanic of like the risk reward for power now versus potential power later, and then
Hmm.
even after all of that, it wasn't directly his power because he ended up hitting a cap, and we don't know if that's just a normal zombie thing or if that was due to his archetype.
Hmm.
But then being able to bolster and be a commander for others.
Yeah, yeah. It was fun. I enjoy good zombie movies, games, so it was nice to do a
I guess
lit
it's been
RPG.
a while since I've really been into a good zombie movie or book.
Yeah, doing some
I think
slaying.
it's because, with the current pandemic, people don't want to envision a pandemic.
Oh man, like talk about failboat. We are no longer allowed to use the phrase, you know, treat it like the plague or whatever. Um, yeah, yeah, we failed that. Um, yeah, but I think we're going to keep the zombie streak going, right? Not to get
Oh
ahead of
yeah,
myself,
do
but
more I guess Halloween-esque for this month.
yeah, you got that guy ready while we're talking about it?
Kinda sorta.
Okay,
Oh, that's not it. This is it.
there we
I
go.
uh
Ravenous,
Ravenous.
Neurotic Apocalypse, Book One. So this is put out by the Mountaindale Press Group, um, same publishing group that Dakota Kraut, the Divine Dungeon, all those guys, Artorian Archives does. Have you listened to this book yet?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been through all three
Oh,
around.
have you?
So yeah,
Tisk, tisk, tisk. I can't talk, so have I. I had fun binging them.
so this one is a unique twist, and one thing that I enjoy throughout most of Mountaindale Press's book is it is a lit RPG, but it's not. And the initial zombie esque stuff that happens, and this is very early in the book, is magic is real. We're in medieval times, and we're going to go slay a witch. Uh, well, in doing so, things go wrong,
What?
and our source of our power explodes. Turns out the Ice Age did happen, and we become frozen. The source of the power is still somehow active, and then, you know, lead into actual start of the book, we become defrosted, and now we were embedded by the shrapnel and have powers, but we're dead. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And then it also follows the main character of a zombie, but yeah.
I was surprised by it, how much I enjoyed it. When I first was hearing about it, it's like, what? It's like some 800-year-old guy, zombie. Like, how's this going to work? Am I really going to be that interested in it? But it does it very well, and it definitely sucked me in enough to where I think we had book two, but I then binged book two and picked up book three pretty quickly, and now I'm like, come on, guys, where's the rest of this goodness? Um, and I completely agree with you. It's much more in the Divine Dungeon vein where there are lit RPG slash gaming mechanics involved, but it's not like the isekai trapped portal to a video game. I'm trapped there. It's more, hey, here's magic, and it's quantified slash viewed in this fashion. Um, that way, our mere mortal minds can process it and go from there. So, a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. Don't want to get into too much spoilers, but you guys have a week. Next Sunday at 5 p.m. Be rocking out to Ravenous. Keep our Halloween theme going. Um,
I'm not really sure what's going on after that. Might bounce back to Headshot, might do the second book in the Ravenous series.
or
There,
another Halloween
yeah, I
theme
was gonna
book.
say there might be another Halloween one that slides in there.
I'm
Haven't,
challenging myself to see if we can get a handful of lit RPG Halloween themes. That way we can just throw it out there as a recommendation. Here's 3 to 5
yeah.
Halloween lit RPGs. We already got two of them down.
And so when I think like zombies, that's one path. but I would also think like werewolves and vampires. But a lot of
Too bad book
people,
2 of Bibliomancer isn't out. That kind of counts. We get our Wolfman in there.
I
Yeah, no, that's a stretch. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Maybe we can break that debate down in the Discord. Um, yeah,
it is Wolfman oriented, but yeah,
yeah,
it's a lot of additional lore from other things that isn't as, I guess, traditional.
fair enough. Fair enough. I'll work on that list for you. Get a couple more up there. Um, yeah, Headshot definitely was a lot of fun. Solid nod to the author with how he titled the books. I thought that was pretty clever. We had oh, what was it? Our book one is One in the Gut, and then we go to Two in the Head, and then Three in the Heart, which is something as like cheesy as it is, I can appreciate it because like I rely on the book covers out of memory to know which one is in order, yet Audible likes to update the cover art without my consent. And then I'm like, wait a minute, which one is this? Which, order or whatever? And I guess like you could try to read the details or download it and listen to it. But yeah, those new to the series, it's nice to not to go one, two, three for you, and then just keep it rolling from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I was just thinking like one, two, three makes sense, as well as, typical zombie fashion is the double tap to make sure they're down. But
Mm-hmm.
the name of the game and the object is headshot, so two in the head almost seems like an ending, but it's
Mm,
not because it's somebody else's head.
but with every ending is a new beginning. Bum bum bum. Your life as a survivor has ended. Now rise again in the zombie horde and feast on your friends. Yeah. So I know we did this one quick and dirty, crazy week. Appreciate everybody being patient with us during the tech challenges at the start there. Um, what else did we miss about One in the Gut?
Uh, Probably something. I thought we
We
did pretty
always
good.
do.
I enjoyed it all in all. It Yeah, a lot of the excitement for book two is just the mystery behind it all.
It left us off at a satisfying spot, I felt. As we were getting closer to the end of the book, I'm like, we better at least get through this first week because like that just feels like a nice clean ending. We knew that we were racing to slay as many survivors as we could until Saturday.
Well, and that's
Um,
what was weird without the whole, get the brick back to the survivor element. I would have been satisfied after winning the war zone or
mhm,
the first major engagement, because after that it was kind of like, okay, we're on a frantic scramble to make this all happen so that we can get the money so that we can become a survivor, but not really. And then just all the weird elements of losing time and, oh, I think it's Sasha making it so that it's harder for him to log out, and then, just the guild vault of it's not supposed to be reset, but everything that wasn't supposed to be reset got reset, but then he's eligible
I
for
was about to say, I
becoming a
figured you would
survivor, but he's actually a zombie, but now he's in a location that can't be modified or
like.
redone, and it's
I thought you'd appreciate how he likes to break stuff so much.
yeah.
I mean, it seems like every game I play with you, you're like, here are the rules. How can I bend or break them? Mwahaha. So Ryan does a solid job there. Um, it ends at a satisfying spot, yet I'm curious how it's going to proceed, especially as we see Ryan kind of deteriorate after being trapped in the game so long. He had that one moment where he kind of like knocked his head and then he's like losing time and space in the game and everything. And I think it was like Friday night was the last time he actually logged out and ate, had his antisocial bro moment with his pizza delivery guy. And
Yeah, but
then,
that was only like one day from there, because it ends on Saturday,
right, Saturday night
and
where he's
then
trapped.
that's
So
where
it's
we end. We end
still,
on
it's
Saturday.
1, 2 ish days in the game. Um,
Or
and the
yeah, I think
lines
he
are
had a
starting to
longer
blur.
span before the pizza when he did the hibernate thing.
It was like
It was
Wednesday the
like,
servers went down, right? So
yeah,
then it was like a
Wednesday,
Wednesday
so he
night to
lost
Friday night, so
Thursday,
another two
most of
dayer.
Friday. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of fun, a lot of fun. Um, Anything else? Final thoughts?
Nope. Enjoyed the book. Definitely gonna continue the series. As far as like lit RPG goes, it didn't rank like super high, but it was still a good read.
It's worth picking up if you need if you're into zombies and you need a good lit RPG book to add to your repertoire. Definitely worth picking up on Audible. You can get all three books for 1 credit. Go ahead and do that. Um, yeah, a lot
Thank
of
you again
fun.
for stopping by, doing Ravenous next week, same time.
Same place. Appreciate everybody.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.